Well, a rather let's do this now kind of music is a journey video. I am out here in the countryside in Nagano in Japan. I am here for a TV program, a travel TV program called Journeys in Japan. I do this usually once a year, except when it's interrupted by a disease, a virus like COVID and other things. Anyway, I woke up this morning, 5:40. I had to get ready. We're going up a mountain today. And when I went to look at my phone and see what time it is, there is a BBC News notice, a little banner at the bottom, and all I could make out, kind of blurry, just woke up eyes, is Ozzy Osbourne, surrounded by friends and family. So that usually means only one thing. So I had to rub the sleep out of my eyes and open the article and read it. So I felt I should say something because, music is a journey. Even though I'm into various different types of music, heavy metal is still my beginnings. And some of the very first music I listened to was Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, at least his first 3 studio albums. I see there's a vehicle in the background. 76 years old. In a way, it was not a surprise. It was kind of like, when Queen Elizabeth II passed away. We knew it was coming. She was getting way up there in years. And kind of the same thing with Ozzy. In the last few years, whenever I saw some news about him, it was just as often about his health condition as it was about his endeavors as a recording artist and a performer. Seems that vehicle is coming my way, so I'm just going to step out of the way a little bit here. Morning. Anyway, so in a way it wasn't a surprise, and I think actually my first real reaction was how good the timing. Black Sabbath did their Back to the Beginning special concert. The band, the original 4 members, performed together one last time, performed some of their great songs from back in the day, and so many artists showed up to do tribute for them. In that way, I don't think you could ask for a better exit. Celebrate your career, celebrate it with tributes from people whose lives have been built on the inspiration that your music gave them. That is such a fantastic thing. I know that as a performer, Ozzy Osbourne had lots of difficult times. Any musician does. The early days of Black Sabbath, struggling to make a success of themselves, all the hassles they went through with their management there in the mid-70s, and then of course alcoholism, Ozzy leaving the band or being asked to leave the band one time, coming back in again, and then being, basically booted out, having to build a solo career. And I'm sure along the way there were many other trials, tribulations, travesties, and so forth. But nevertheless, in the end of it all, what a fantastic career he had. I think there are very few musicians, performers, singers, whatever out there who could ask for such a career. And once again, what a way to be able to wrap everything up, like really wrap it up. Last few words, of course, Ozzy saying that he's going to retire as a performer, but he still would be interested in participating in projects for other bands, maybe as a guest appearance or something. Well done. Well done, Ozzy Osbourne. And I guess the one final thing I wanted to say is, of course, now I'm reading, Black Sabbath, they gave birth to heavy metal. And I think most people who watch my channel know that I love finding heavy music before Black Sabbath started. I love digging into that stuff from the 60s up to the late 60s, where bands were playing with distortion, were playing darker music, were writing darker lyrics. I love that kind of stuff. So I never would say that Black Sabbath exactly gave birth to heavy metal. But the one thing that Black Sabbath with Ozzy Osbourne really managed to do was to set a kind of template for what I think all subsequent heavy metal bands, certainly those that emerged from the late 70s and from there on, say as this is the song, and that would be the song Black Sabbath. They took that part of Holst's Mars, and they weren't the first band to do it either, but they did something with it that gave it such a menacing, dark and ominous atmosphere, and then that they could put it into the really heavy, loud context and then scale it back into sort of lighter but still ominous, atmospheric feeling. Bring back the heaviness, and then of course the latter part of the song picking up the speed, the guitar solo, and then that whole lyrical thing there about the dark shape. God, please help me. This is the one thing that always turns up as a theme in heavy metal, that there is evil out there, there is wickedness, and sometimes it comes like right face to face with us. And it is something that we have to deal with in order not to become a part of it. I think most metal bands have that idea that we shouldn't actually become a part of it, but there is that evil out there that we have to face. And of course, sometimes you have to internalize it to process it and to make sure that you come out the victor in the end. I believe heavy metal ultimately has that kind of message, even if they're throwing Satan right in your face. It is not so much, most bands, I would say, is not so much to tell you this is the way, but this idea that evil is out there and we have to face up to it. That is, I think Black Sabbath may have been the first to put it in such a succinct context. So yeah, and of course the rest of the album, all of side 1 is fantastic as an early heavy metal album. Side 2 is a little more jammy, but still great performances. And the one thing I've always said about Black Sabbath is that while other bands may have recorded heavy songs or even some heavy albums, Black Sabbath continued in that vein throughout the rest of their career. Even Ozzy Osbourne as a solo artist continued playing hard and heavy rock and roll, if you want to call it that, or even heavy metal. Always this idea of things threatening us that we have to stand up and face. So in that way, Black Sabbath are really the leaders in the beginnings of heavy metal. So without making this much longer, because if I upload this, it's going to be off Wi-Fi, I just want to say that what a great way for Ozzy Osbourne to be able to wrap up his career and in that way his life. Of course he will be missed. Of course there are many people, his family, his friends, who will miss him, and fans of course who will miss him. But thank you very much, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne, for all that you gave to so many people. So I have to go back and eat breakfast now. We're heading up a mountain. I just felt I had to say something rather impromptu, non-rehearsed. Thank you everybody for watching. Back to the regular programming schedule at Music is a Journey.